All right, and welcome to the Prometheus Season of the Elders reunion show. This is going to be our time to talk to all of our alumni here and read the votes for the second winner of Prometheus, who will join the Pantheon of winners. So can I please have my final three come out? First off, CJ. Can I have Aaron come on camera? And Michael. All right, so how's everybody feeling?
Nervous.
A bit nervous, yeah.
It's been a long time coming. I believe it's been roughly 360 days since we started this journey. So I guess I will grab the votes and we will get started. First vote, CJ. Second vote, Aaron. That's one vote CJ, one vote Aaron. Third vote, Michael. We are tied, one vote each. Fourth vote, CJ. Two CJ, one Michael, one Aaron. Fifth vote, Aaron. That's now two CJ, two Aaron, one Michael. Two votes left. Sixth vote, Michael. We are tied. Two votes CJ, two votes Aaron, two votes Michael. One vote left to decide the winner of Prometheus Season of the Elders. And the next player to join the Pantheon of winners, Aaron. Congratulations, Aaron. Everyone can come on camera now. Aww.
Good job, Aaron.
Congrats, Aaron.
Congrats. Yay.
So proud of you, Aaron.
Who had Aaron as his winner pick, like in the fourth episode of the podcast?
That's true. That's
right
true. All right. So let's get down to it. So Aaron, how are you feeling? It's been a long time coming. As I did say, you were one of the players who had messaged me multiple times throughout the broadcasting of our show. Very, very crazy emotions throughout. So how you feeling? How's the win feel?
Wow, it feels great. I'm honestly very shocked. I don't know. CJ and Michael and I have talked about it, and we're like, what do you think happened? Who do you think won? And we all were like, I don't know. So yeah, I'm so grateful. Thank you guys for voting for me. It was tough watching because I knew how hard I was working, and I do think, Casey, that you did a good job of showing it on the season. But then every time it would go to the sticks and everyone was like, she's not doing anything. Why is she here? And I'm throwing stuff at my TV. So it just feels really good to come out with the win.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Prometheus was your second ever game played, right?
I think so. It's hard to keep the timeline straight at this point, but I think so.
Have you won any other games since?
I did win a mini since then.
Oh, nice.
I lost in a final tribal since then too. So,
so another little fun fact about our winners here. In season 1, Lauren was an alternate who came in about a week before the game started. And Aaron, it is the same thing. You were our alternate who came in about a week before the game started. So it's crazy that in back-to-back seasons, 2 alternates ended up winning it all. But before we move on to our next person, do you have any other thoughts you would like to express?
No, I'm still just like shaking. I honestly can't believe it. When I saw that all three of us had 2 votes, I was like convinced that it was going to be CJ that won. So I'm shook and very grateful.
All right, so Michael, you're another person who is messaging me throughout the season. You were probably another person throwing objects at your TV, really frustrated with, I'm sure, your fellow players. But it was a close freaking game, 3-2-2. So how do you feel, especially given that it really was a close call?
Yeah, honestly, I'm just really happy for Erin. Like, I feel like kind of just watching it back, like I definitely think that what people were saying about her and how she kind of took control at the end, like she definitely, was more vocal about a couple things, and I think she deserved the win like 100%. So I'm overall just like, I'm happy I got a couple votes. Obviously, watching it back, I was frustrated with a lot of people because there was a lot of, shit talking from people that had gotten eliminated and kind of feeling a little bit underestimated. But I think the episode showed what happened, and I can be happy with that. And I'm obviously very happy for Erin. So.
All right, CJ. We saw a little bit of roller coaster of emotions for you. You were living in such a high at the beginning of the Ascension ceremony. You were getting all this praise, pouring in. And then we had Bloody, who just kind of rained on your parade. Did you think you had this win in the bag? And, throughout the season, you did say like, you played a messy game, but I do think something that can't be overlooked is that you did attempt, and it might have failed, but you did attempt to play with the other team. So what are your thoughts kind of going into all of this?
First of all, like when I went to the final tribal council, I was like, okay, I think I'll have 3 votes, to be honest. But like when I was like going through the jury, I was like, okay, I think some of the jury members might not like what I'm saying. So I'm not like very confident that I'll get enough votes to win. But yeah, it is a roller coaster of emotions. Like especially for me, I don't want to deal with confrontations or conflicts. Like for me, I just don't want to have like a bad blood with anyone. So for me, playing this game is nerve-wracking, but at the same time, I was happy that 2 of my allies are in the final 3, and I'm happy for Erin for winning because she definitely deserves it. So yeah.
And I would just like to say too, before we move on to our next player, that I genuinely think, and I said it on the podcast, but I genuinely think all 4 of you guys, because we're going into the finale, Tracy included, you guys all had legitimate paths to victory. And everybody gets to the end, and you have many different types of winners. So I hope no one feels discouraged or anything, because they're all great games. Which brings us to Tracy. Tracy, you came into this game not playing anything like this before and not even watching any reality competitions. And you're also the oldest player, even though you're not that old. So what was this experience like for you?
Well, honestly, I had said in the very beginning, my goal was just not to be voted off first. That was like a goal. And having far surpassed that goal and not having any clue what I was doing throughout this entire process. Like I'm watching some of the episodes that I watched were almost cringe because of the fact that I was like, I'm not really sure if I'm playing the same game. Like what I was doing and what my plans were doing and what everyone else was doing. And then I was like, I don't know if I had any clue what I was doing. I just kept maintaining my straight shoot, which was, I think that, I think that was the game that I play. I think that if I were to ever do this again, my game is my hospitality skills and the fact that I will tell you exactly what I'm thinking, So, I mean, I feel great having been in top 4. This was amazing. This was a great experience. I loved it, and having to work with everybody, but I was amazed that I made it as far as I did. I really was.
And yeah, and I 100% think you should be proud of it. It was so fun watching you play. And it's very interesting. You play enough of these games, you tend to just kind of run across the same people over and over. So it's always interesting to get a fresh face and someone who's kind of learning on the fly. And I think you made it incredibly, you did incredibly well given your position.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't really sure. I'm like, when I watch it back, I'm like, and like, not a lot of people really talked a whole lot about me. And I'm like, am I playing the game? Am I doing something? Like, I wasn't really sure. So, but all in all, I think I saw myself progress. I think I started catching on as things were going on. And I think in the beginning I was trying to but I like them a lot. I don't want to vote them off. You know what I mean? But then it just became every man for himself. So I started learning that real fast.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Antonio. Antonio, there was so much content cut out of the sticks. You laid your entire game out, and I mean, obviously, we can't, show all of that content, but one of the best parts of it was actually Bloody, who just kind of rolled her eyes at it all. So, playing the game that you played, I mean, you did play a fantastic game. Do you have any sort of regrets, looking back on, especially with these competition wins?
Yeah, I would maybe try harder to throw. I know it's a little bit of a controversy if I actually threw or not. But I think there were some that every time I would try and get an answer wrong, say for touchy subjects, I didn't. It was still right because it was a tie. Or the crapshoot of name your nemesis. There were so many that if I was able to go back and say, hey, just make it more obvious that you're trying to throw, then that probably would have worked out. Other than that, I don't regret it. Maybe I regret asking if we could put our arms down on the chair because that's what made us stand up. And I was so worried about my leg, in that moment, I just couldn't pick up the quarters the second time. But yeah, other than that, I have no regrets. I would play the exact same game, just maybe not with a broken leg next time.
It's funny. The quarters were your downfall. Do you think you would have been able to make it to the very end had you had beaten that challenge?
I think so. I mean, I got a perfect score in Feast of Apollo Part 1. And I could name the people who played and do a slide puzzle in probably a minute. So I think I could have made it to the end if I just got those quarters up and were able to hold them up.
It's a shame. It's kind of like an Andrew situation in season 1. So hopefully you do not have nightmares for the rest of your days.
The quarters are right there. I can see the pencils too. They're here. They're still in my life. So maybe eventually I'll get over it. But for now, I can still see them.
Okay. Moving on to probably one of the most iconic players of the season. We have Humphrey. Where's he at?
What the hell?
Where's Humphrey?
I'm at work right now. So Humphrey's unfortunately waiting for me. Probably going to be angry when I get home.
So moving to you, Bloody, since we do not have Humphrey. Okay. So we saw kind of, we had a couple of people this season who did watch season 1, but clearly you were very much one of the super fan archetype. And you were also very outspoken since the very beginning of the game. So how was it kind of watching yourself back, probably in the most true archetype out of all of the cast members this season?
It was really fun. I'll say that first and foremost before I probably joke about it. But I think it was honestly super enjoyable. It's you play these games. I mean, apparently some people in this cast don't, and that's amazing. But you play these games often and you can't really understand what all of the different angles are like. So it's just really cool to kind of get context and honestly closure on a lot of things, but also really annoying, watching yourself. I think we were talking before, but CJ was talking about hearing himself on camera. It's hard. It's you get these weird feelings where you're oh my God, why did I say that? Why did I talk a bunch about loving season 1? That was kind of probably super dumb. But I had a blast watching it back.
So one other point that I wanted to just touch upon, obviously the whole cast, we just got together to watch, the finale together. We saw that you were the first person to kind of like stand up and take a stand. So could you kind of give us a picture of like your thoughts in that moment?
Yeah, I think honestly, it's funny watching it back. I felt like I was shaking again with anger. And I'm not an angry person, but I think that there's just something I feel like watching these games, you arrive at something like the final ascension ceremony and you're like, okay, this is great. I have so many questions. There's 3 amazing final 3 in front of us. And I really want to know more about their game. I really want to know their context. I really want to know the things that I have questions on still. And I found it so kind of defeating that the first 3 members of the Sticks all chose to take that time, in my opinion, and kind of just love fest in a rambly sort of manner on CJ. And I mean, no shade to CJ. I think he did a great job, obviously, like we can see in the votes. But it was just one of those things where I'm like, dang, I've got a lot of questions and I was in the game a bit more than these people. How did they have no curiosity for the games that were played without them? So I think you kind of sense my frustration, obviously, coming through in that questioning round, but yeah, no shade, but a little bit of shade.
All right. So moving on to Ben. Ben, in the beginning of the season, you were, I would also argue, one of the biggest characters. Your confessionals were so wild and energetic. And then we kind of seen as your game went on, and obviously as you were one of the first eliminator on day 2, it got toned down a bit. And we definitely saw some of the like bitterness that we had seen early in the jury. But a very interesting thing is I kind of originally thought you were going to vote for CJ, but we see in your confessional that you are one of the people who changed your mind and voted Michael. I am very curious on this thought process. And once again, like I see the, reasoning for any of these winners, but I'm just really curious, given that you're one of the people I was not expecting to vote anywhere else.
Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to do was eat all the crow in the world and like apologize to Aaron and Michael, because I genuinely going into the Ascension ceremony felt like I wanted to vote for CJ. I felt like I was more socially inclined, that he tried to work with me. But then I listened to your guys' speeches and I listened to other people's questions. And I was like, maybe he didn't play the best game. Maybe I want to vote for somebody else. And reflecting on it, I felt that I had just personally been more played by Michael. So I ended up switching my vote onto Michael. But it is reflected in the edit how bitter and foolish the first 3 jurors come off a little bit to have totally written that off. And I am fully willing, just as willing as I am to be a shit talker and be bitter, I'm just as willing to be I was totally wrong. I will take all that back. And I also thought it was interesting watching this season back. I am seeing some of my own bias towards seeing women who are older than me play games and orgs. And this is really something I had not confronted before, but especially with Aaron bringing it up. And when I watched my boot episode, I saw myself talking about it with Jocelyn, just kind of discounting really strong players in the game. And not only is that just an unconscious bias, but it's also a strategic weak spot. It really bites me in the ass in these votes. So not only do I want to eat crow, but I also want to watching back these episodes help me gain a little more perspective on that. And huge congratulations to Aaron. I voted Michael. I think I stand by my Michael vote. I think I still would vote for him to win. And obviously I loved CJ. Yeah, I said it to the world. But yeah, I had so much fun playing this game, and watching the episodes back, they're just tremendous. It was really, really a blast. I made some friends sit down and watch, but they insisted we only watch the scenes I was in. So.
Okay. Well, thank you for all that. Now, that's very interesting that you were just, and this is obviously going to be on YouTube for anyone to see, but it is very interesting, being vulnerable and honest about your thought process with everything, including, what you were saying about older players. So I appreciate that. Moving on to the merciless queen of the sticks, we have Louise. Louise, we saw your reign of terror, which made for fantastic content. Now that you are roughly a year removed from the game, would you walk us through like how you're feeling now? Do you stick by your comments, your statements, and killing off those poor innocent Sims?
I mean, yeah, what Ben just said was really beautiful, and seeing the growth is whatever. But I just have to admit, I'm a misogynist and I'm ageist. You know, it's just no, I'm kidding. But I stand by it. Like, this is a mini. This isn't a long form game. This is a mini. You have collectively 16 hours of time. I had even less than that. You know, I didn't see everything that was happening, and watching the episodes unfold, you're like, oh yeah, that happened, and Aaron did this, and Michael did. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see it, and I was delirious by the time that the ending happened. And first of all, as well, I didn't kiss CJ's butt all that much. I asked questions. I asked questions about perception. I said my perception to them, and I asked them to give it back to me. So I was not a butt kisser. I'm like, I do love CJ, but yeah, I mean, I stand by it. There was two people who I didn't really get to work with, and someone who was open about wanting to work with me and tried to work with me. And for me, I'm very self-absorbed. I care about me and only me. And like, we laugh, but like, it's just who I am. Like, no offense to everybody who's like, I hate watching myself. I loved it. I'm like, yes, I only watched the scenes with me in it. You know, I didn't have to force anyone. So yeah, I don't regret anything. It's just the way that it is. I do respect now have seeing, you know, the games that were played, and I understand why people voted for them, but I didn't see it at the time.
I also want to stand by, like, I'm a big defender of like the emotions you experience in the moment are valid. And so while watching it back, we gain a totally different perspective. I stand by the speech I made, and I would make it again had I gone through the same circumstances. So I'm happy to be here now and have full perspective. But I stand with Louise on shit talking. We were sent to the jury. What more did we have to do except shit talk?
Yeah.
I think we were perfectly, as much as it must have sucked to watch, and I totally get that, it also sucked to be voted out. So I think I stand by a lot of the emotions too.
I agree. And like, considering who the first three jurors were, I'm surprised we weren't worse, because we only had each other to shit talk to each other. Like, these guys fucked up a game. We was treated badly. That resentment builds up. And for me, CJ was like a golden god, of course. So also, yeah, I am sorry. I'm not sorry for The Sims. Okay, listen, I was alone. I was bored. I feel like it made good content. I was definitely in my Twitch streamer era, so I'm glad I got to live that fantasy.
All right. So moving on to the two people who showed up from day one, we're going to start off with Jeffrey. Jeffrey, very early on in the game, you were very outspoken. You're very endearing. People loved you. I had people, you know, even reach out to me over Facebook and stuff like that. Even a coworker who's just like, oh my God, Jeffrey is very entertaining. And, you know, people seem to love you, but your outspoken nature could have potentially, you know, factored into you getting out early on. Now, I know you say you're a binge watcher, and you had binge watched, you know, the beginning of the game, and you're trying to binge watch the end of the game. So what's it like watching yourself back? And, you know, do you think you've learned anything from this experience if you were to play another game?
Yeah. I mean, everybody, or most people in the game had a considerable advantage over me, because I've never done this. So when I pointed out Bloody being good at the game, or like I didn't know what I was doing, and I guess I put a target on her head or something. That didn't even factor into me being out. I guess I just didn't land on the right side of things, you know. If this was the real world, or if we were in person, I'd probably be better, because then, you know, I don't know, like say Big Brother, for instance, we'd be doing physical activities, then we do the memory stuff where I probably wouldn't be that great. but it was a really good time. Met a lot of really good people. I'm pretty pissed Jenny's not here because she is the reason I'm out and she's not here. And I was going to address it, the elephant in the room. But unfortunately I can't. Ben, no hard feelings. I tried to get I'm sure you watched it. I tried to get everybody against you because that was the only way I could have done it. I don't know how to play the game. I think that was a good move, but it didn't work.
I was shocked. I had no idea you were campaigning against me until watching that episode. And even I watched people, at least I don't think I did. I watched people like agree with you and sit there and nod along about voting me out. And I was like, these bitches, they're so fake. Now they're telling Jeffrey they'll vote me. It was really fun watching it back. Yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, I had a great time. I think the challenges were a little unique. I need to kind of get my brain in that like kind of world. I'll probably have to play a few more. I definitely will play a few more. I don't know that lane. I don't know how to get into that world. If you guys can connect me with one, I'll get my beak wet again. Ideally, maybe one of you guys is in it and we could collude. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. But really, just send me Rex and I'll join. And hopefully you watch.
All right. So moving on to the final player, we have Mark, a second boot of day one. Mark, it's very interesting. Jeffrey already kind of talked about it, but you definitely had some feelings towards Jenny. And even despite you being out early, you have been such an avid viewer and commenter the entire time. So I kind of wanted to get your perspective on things, because obviously, yes, you were a part of the alumni, but it was almost like you were just a normal viewer to an extent. So what was your perception about everything, and especially Jenny, because I know you had words about that?
Yeah, I think I was booted about 11 months ago on screen. So I definitely feel like I was just a viewer. But, you commented that Jeffrey and I'm assuming you mean me as well, might have been out early because we were outspoken. That was not the case at all. It was nothing to do with either of us being outspoken. It was to do with numbers. It was to do with one room with 4 people and one room with 3 people. And Jenny telling us that she was going to do one thing that she then did not do. And at the end of the day, it was nothing to do with our personalities. It was to do with that. I don't think it had anything to do with Jeffrey being outspoken or me being outspoken. It was a shame because I think the whole game could have changed completely. I think that I think we could have. Tasha was like, she was so drunk by 3 hours into the game, and you kept her when you needed to win challenges. And as you saw, you got completely decimated because you didn't win challenges. And I knew that I could win challenges for you, but you didn't keep us. So that's your fault, guys.
I guess also, to be fair, I didn't necessarily mean your sole reason for getting out was outspoken, but I will say, though, that when it came down to your boot, they were tossing you and Jeffrey up, and being outspoken definitely has to have a factor in it all.
Yeah, but there were only 3 of us in that minority, and actually the least outspoken one was the one who got voted out first. So I don't think it was anything to do with being outspoken at all.
Fair enough. So before we move on to the season awards, and once again, a number of you guys had messaged me throughout the season. Is there any sort of anything you guys want to put out there? Anything? It's kind of an open forum.
I just want to say they voted out Mark when he was the one to get in the bathtub. Antonio just said it in chat. I think it's worth reminding everyone that Mark went the extra mile that one challenge and then immediately goes. Yeah. So sad.
This may be my villain era saying this, but it was infinitely funnier to vote him out right after he got in the bathtub.
It was like my Francesca moment. Vote out someone that clearly does not deserve to go first. But the other tribe or the other team would not have voted me out, would you guys?
Okay, yeah. Iran maybe was not the best tribe team. It just was not. It just wasn't good.
Wasn't
We deserved everything we got in the end. So,
and the
Well,
best
what's funny too is like,
Louise, do you live in the UK too?
yes, I do.
Wow.
You're just learning this now?
No, I'm just piecing it back together. Do you live near Mark?
Do I live with Mark?
Yeah, near Mark.
I mean, other ends of London, I believe.
Okay.
I think he's north, I'm south.
Okay. Casey, I'm gonna come with you for that trip.
Oh God, I'm running.
Sound like a threat.
I'm in.
All right. Any final thoughts before we move on to the awards?
I was just going to say that, like, it's funny thinking back that we picked the teams. Like, we had the schoolyard pick, and somehow a lot of the power hitters when it came to challenges ended up on Guyan, and then Iran was Iran. So yeah, I don't know. I just think that's so funny how we picked these. It wasn't like randomly assigned and one just got decimated. Somehow along the way, something happened that led to it.
I was like, we haven't got the old lady on our tribe. We're going to be fine. Didn't work out that way. Sorry, Tracy.
No, but we did have Tasha's internet.
Yeah, I don't know. God bless Tasha, but by the end of that day, I don't know if she was much better than anybody else in challenges. I thought it was interesting that we were able to get it was very much the crazy tribe, which I, for one, love. Like, put me on the crazy tribe any day. I do not give a rat's butt about winning challenges.
I will say one of the absolute highlight for me was winning our only challenge win. I never felt such euphoria in my life. Like, screaming.
We got to go up and pee. We didn't have to worry about missing anything. We had time to walk away from the screen.
Sorry, something else that just popped up while we were talking about like Mark being voted out after getting in the bathtub. Why did you guys keep Tasha with her bad internet over Ari? Like,
I know
that I think is what dumbfounded Guyan when it happened, because we all saw Tasha and her internet, and just for that to like not, I don't know, to us it seemed like it didn't factor in, but I'm sure y'all had other stuff.
I was like, this is such an easy vote. No one has to blame anyone. We just blame the internet and no one's going to feel bad about it. Done.
But to be fair, she switched to her phone and it was good for the 40 minutes it needed to be good for her to stay. And at that point, we had the vote and the numbers were the numbers.
And then 40 minutes later, she was unable to go.
Starting to go skiing while 18 White Claws deep. Yeah.
She did not end up going skiing that night.
Thank God. Yeah. Is it such a crime, Mark, that we kept the life of the party on the tribe? Jeez, I don't sue me. Maybe I would have a little fun.
Jeffrey is the life of the party. He didn't even need to have a drink.
Also, Mark was half naked, so I don't know.
That's a good point.
Mark, I will say you got some fanboys off of that too. Some people on Discord were like, oh, and I was like, uh-oh.
That's cute. Give him my number.
All right, so we are going to move on to the awards of the season. So for those who aren't familiar, we have 10 awards that will always be the Promethean staples. We'll always hand them out every single year, and then we'll have 5 awards kind of on rotation. So first off, we would like to hand out the Most Social Award to Antonio. Congrats, Antonio.
I was thinking that was going to be bloody. I'm going to be honest.
Next up, for the most strategic, we do have an official winner, but we also have an honorable mention. So the winner of the most strategic award is Michael. Michael, I do think that throughout the season, you had honestly one of the best confessionals. Your plans, your thoughts, your feelings, everything about the game was incredibly well laid out, which makes it in a lot of ways very easy to edit your story. But we do have an honorable mention to Aaron because very similar to you, Aaron's plans were very well laid out and, we saw those wheels turn, especially towards the final stages of the game. So an honorable mention to Aaron. Next up, I think this kind of goes as no surprise, the Best Competitor Award goes to Antonio, with an honorable mention to Jocelyn. She was only one challenge win behind. Next up, we have the Adaptability Award. The award is exactly what it sounds like. You're just able to adapt to the game, which is honestly a very instrumental tool you do need to have to make it far or win one of these games. We decided to award Jocelyn with the Adaptability Award. I think a huge moment you can see that is in episode 7 when Ben goes home. She, you know, especially with her being new to these games, you can see that she pivots her plans. So unfortunately, Jocelyn is not here, but adaptability to Jocelyn. Next up, we have the Tenacity Award, which is pretty much just the ability to live, to, you know, persist in the game. And we do have an honorable mention, but it should go without saying. The Tenacity Award goes to Bloody. It took Bloody 12 votes against Bloody throughout the entire season to finally leave the game. But we do have an honorable mention to Tracy. There was a number of rounds in which Tracy got votes, but not as many as 12 votes. Following that, we have the Rookie Award. The Rookie Award goes to, you know, a newbie who's just jumping into orgs. And we ultimately decided to award the Rookie Award to Jocelyn. Jocelyn, with an honorable mention to Tracy. With Jocelyn, though, you can see once again her adaptability, especially with being in the minority. She really had to kind of go that extra mile at the beginning of day 2. Following that, we have the Best Alliance Award. I think this also should go without speaking. The Best Alliance, while it did not have a name to my knowledge, goes to CJ, Aaron, and Michael. Their alliance stuck through, and there they were as the final 3. After that, we have the Best Move of the Season Award. This one we are going to award to Aaron for the Bloody vote. Congratulations, Aaron. So this next award is a very interesting award. As of last night, it was tied with who would win this award, and this award is the Fan Favorite of the Season. Now, I won't tell you the individual numbers of it all, but 9 players out of the 16 received votes for Fan Favorite of the Season. And as of last night / this morning, we had a 4-way tie. But as the votes continue to trickle in today, the fan favorite of Prometheus Season of the Elders is Bloody. Congratulations, Bloody, on fan favorite. Next up, we have the Ember Player of the Season. The Ember Player of the Season, for those who listen to the podcast, we hand out Ember Awards, and the Ember Player received the most amount of awards throughout the entire season. And this one was also a close call, but the Ember Player of the Season goes to Michael. Congratulations, Michael. All right. Going down to our final 5 awards. We have the Oracle of the Season award that we are going to give to Ben. And it was shown a couple times in our stick segments that Ben did say, if you get rid of me, it will be Jenny, Bloody, and Antonio. And then he would always say, but not necessarily in that order. All right. Next up, we have the 180 award. The 180 award is kind of the player who kind of turned their game around pretty quickly, and that goes to Tasha. Unfortunately, Tasha is not here, but you know, it reminded us pretty much of season 1 with Caitlin. So congrats to Tasha on the 180 award. This next award we call the Lovable Straight Ups, and it's just kind of people who were so lovable and endearing, but kind of just talked and said things as they were. We are going to award this to both Tracy and to Jeffrey. Congratulations to Tracy and Jeffrey. Next up, our second to last award, we have the Gone Too Soon award, and that goes to Mr. Bathtub himself, Mark. Congratulations, Mark. And for our last award, we have the Vindictive Player of the Season award. And that goes to Louise. And I think that is kind of going without saying. All right, so congratulations to everybody on their awards. So before we conclude things here, I'm going to share with you our new logo for season 3, which is filming this upcoming weekend. So give me just a moment.
Bloody is looking like a massive fan again.
She's
I'm
is
looking-
the Prometheus fan.
I'm so excited.
When you go on an episode and you see 150 views, it's because Bloody's rewatched it 149 times.
Okay, when I revealed that I voted Tracy, I rewatched y'all's reaction like maybe 10 times the day the episode came out. I thought it was so funny because all of you like one by one just like,
All right, so here is our season 3 logo as we conclude things here at the Prometheus reunion show. So there is your little teaser. Try and figure out and have some guesses as to what our season 3 will be. But on that note, thank you everyone for coming on and joining our reunion show. Congratulations to the final 3. You all played fantastic games. And we hope you continue to watch as we put out more seasons in the future. Have a good night, everyone.
Great job, Casey. Great job, Casey. Congratulations, Aaron.
Congrats, Aaron. Congrats, File 3.
Yeah, congrats, Aaron. Congrats, everybody.
Yeah, Aaron.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations, Aaron.